So, this one's going to be again about being nice and different things about being nice and different thoughts that I had while I was talking about and or especially thinking about being a nicer person, reputation, legacy, and all those things. Like, it's going to be important, and therefore there's going to be more after the intro, as always. And with that being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. And I am pumped for this episode, and I actually haven't been looking forward to this episode before the podcast just because I was pissed because of certain things. But it is what it is. You know, I shouldn't be pissed, and I actually should be in a really good mood because I'm just in the best circumstances someone can be. Like, everything is nice, you know, there's nothing that I am in need of, just besides, I don't know, fulfillment, personal fulfillment, and all those things, which is some of these things that you're going to go for if you're basically having everything. If you're just having a look at the Maslow's need pyramid or whatever it might actually be called in English, but I don't know. So actually nobody that is living in a first world country, unless you're actually really poor and you're also having to fight with food and something to drink and all those things, nobody that is not in such a place should actually be unhappy about the position and or the circumstances that he and or she is living in, because everything is fine, everything is nice, and it's just something to remind oneself on or of as well, because like it is important. It really is important to also being happier and happy, because if you can see that everything actually is nice and everything is okay and is doing really well, then I don't know, there's no need to be unhappy. There's no need to kind of complain maybe, which is also one of the things that I think nobody should be doing, or especially I shouldn't also be doing, because like everything is nice, everything is fine. Like it could be way worse, and I don't know, we need to talk about that. Like this is really something to talk about. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, it's going to be about being kind, and it's also going to be about just being a nicer person, being a little bit more generous, being like kind, you know. And not only just because it is about your legacy and it is about your reputation, which is kind of like the first point. Of course, if you are a nice person, then you're also going to be remembered as a nice person just because you are a nice person. It just still depends on how authentic and or how consistent you are. But I'm going to talk about the whole consistency and authenticity thing a little bit later on. So if you're actually not really kind or not really nice to everyone, then I wouldn't necessarily think that everyone is going to remind you or remember you as a good person, quote unquote, and or as a nice person or a generous person. Because if you're only nice and not generous and or kind to those people that you feel like you need to be kind to, in terms of like, you're going to be nice to the boss, but you're not going to be nice to the receptionist. This is like maybe a pretty good example to just get my point across. And if you're doing that, I guess you won't really be remembered as a really kind person. You know, you're going to be remembered as a nice person and or as a person that is nice to the people that he and or she has to be nice to. Some sorta, like if you're thinking about it, which is actually a pretty interesting story that I've been reading, I think. Yeah, I think. I've been reading it when I was in the train just because I was willing to get some new information on kindness and how, or basically why kindness makes us feel good and all those things, just because it is something interesting, you know, because kindness indeed makes us feel good because of certain reasons that seemingly not a lot of people have been thinking about, because I haven't been finding something, or I haven't been able to find something that's really kind of on point, I'd say. But still, the thing is, somebody, and I think it's been like a real estate business, but I'm not quite sure about that, or a property firm. Maybe this is even the same, I don't actually know. I think it is a property firm, but I actually believe that it is the exact same as a just real estate company. But yeah, so this property firm had a boss, and the boss also had a receptionist, and normally, like, the receptionist always just talks to the client at first, you know, before the boss talks to the client and whatnot, just because, like, this is kind of the thing that the receptionist has to do. Like, okay, you are who you are, you just have a kind of meeting with the boss and whatnot. So there's like certain things, certain tasks that this person has to be doing. The thing is, there is some sort of a setup, there is some sort of a connection between the boss and the receptionist, which means that when a client comes in or somebody that has a meeting with the boss, and when this person is not nice to the receptionist gonna send a mail off to the boss, which is going to tell the boss that the person wasn't nice to the receptionist. Which is like for the boss, a pretty smart way, maybe it is actually a pretty good way for the boss. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case that it is going to be a good way for you as well, and that you should actually be replicating that. But it is a good way for the boss to just see what type of person it is. If it is only a person that is going to be nice to him just because he is the boss, or actually she is the boss, and all those things. And I've been thinking about it, and I kind of feel like, well, it is quite an interesting strategy. I don't know if it is actually kind of a good way to decide with whom you're working with, even though like clients really matter. You can do good work, but if you're having a good client, you can do better work, which is something that I've also realized. And I'm actually really thankful for that realization, the really recent realization that you are in need of really good clients to actually make really, really, really good work. Because if the client is like just only searching for a bargain, if the client is only just searching for the quick results or for the quick designs, if you're thinking about design work, then it's not going to be really pleasant for the designer and or for me to just work on this project. And it's maybe also not going to lead to the best work that I can be doing, just because I might not have the time, I might not have the resources, I might not have kind of the openness in terms of, okay, just do something, instead of, okay, this is what I want and you should be doing just this and whatnot, even though I know better, which is often going to be the case. If you're just getting a service basically from somebody, which is then basically a service business, isn't it? And you kind of feel like that you know better than the person that is giving the service to you, then I don't know if it is actually the case. Because if somebody comes to me and he says like, or she says, well, I want this design and that design, and I feel like, well, it's not going to work out that nice. It's not going to look that nice. It's not going to be that aesthetic. Of course, I'm going to tell this person. But if the person just really wants the one design, like I can't do anything about it, And this just really also shows that having a good client is just making better work, or lets you be able to do better work, which is actually something that Seth Godin is quite talking a lot about. And just because I am talking about Seth Godin, I've initially been talking about consistency versus authenticity. And authenticity seems to be, as I've also been recognizing quite recently, it actually seems to be one of the things that a lot of people are aiming for and a lot of people are also thinking about. The thing is, which is also kind of the point that Seth Godin is making, is authenticity really the thing that we should be looking for? The thing is, if you're going to a barber, the barber that you like the most, the barber that is just cutting your hair all the time when you need a new haircut. If this barber is like, well, I don't really feel like cutting your hair today, I'm just not gonna do it because I don't feel like it. He's gonna be authentic, he's really authentic with his feelings, with how he's feeling and whatnot, but he's not consistent, But wouldn't it just be better if he was consistent just then, or just because then he would actually be cutting your hair, which is actually the reason why you're going to the barber, just because you want to have a haircut. And not because to just know how the barber is feeling, but you want to have a haircut. You just want to have the consistency, We're not really looking for authenticity. We need consistency, which is something really interesting and also maybe something that's gonna revolutionize thinking or the thinking of some people, maybe actually not. But I think it is actually the truth. It still depends, I think if you just kind of translate it to just being nice and being generous and all those things, then it might mean that you're just going to be nice to everyone, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what person it is, no matter how much of a fuck you give about the person. Like, of course, you might not really give a fuck about the receptionist, but if you're actually consistent, then you're also going to be nice to the receptionist, no matter what role the whole receptionist plays, even though in the end, it might be actually a huge role. By maybe thinking about the example that I've been giving you before, like maybe there is a connection between the boss and the receptionist, and therefore you're gonna have better chances of maybe getting the job and all those things if you're just being nice to the person at the reception, I guess. But yeah, let's talk about why it feels nice when we are nice, or why it feels good when we are kind and nice and all those things. As I said before, or as I was also kind of, not really talking about it, but some sort of talking about it, there wasn't a lot that you or I was able to find. Like, there's a bunch of reasons that just make sense. Like, it is common sense, like human connection. If you're nice to other people, then you're able to connect better to those people, just because nobody actually likes to talk to an asshole and nobody likes to deal with an asshole, which is something that I'm spreading all the fucking time, like on Instagram and all those platforms. And it is something really interesting in my point of view, and also something that's really important at my point of view, because like, just be nice, it's not that much work, sometimes it is gonna be work, sometimes when you're not feeling good, when you're not like really in the mood of being nice, then it's totally gonna be work, it's totally not gonna be just that easy or that nice or that whatever to just be nice and kind and generous, but it's gonna pay off, the consistency is going to pay off. So the first one's definitely going to be about human connections. When you're nice, you're able to connect with other people, which is going to make you happier. On the other hand, there is like some sort of a region in your brain that activates when we are nice, which means that there's probably going to be some hormones activated, quote unquote, and all those things that are just then going to make us feel happier about ourselves. Like, the question now is why? I have often been thinking about it as, okay, when we are nice and when we are able to just have those human connections, then in the really early days or really early stages of our life or of our being, of the human being, then we would have been able to survive, basically. Because if you think about helping other people, which is some sort of a being nice thing, if you're helping somebody else that is just in a bad situation maybe, and you wouldn't be doing it probably if there was no kind of feeling like, okay, I'm gonna do it and then I'm gonna really feel good about it. Which means, like, just think about Stone Age scenarios and things. You're seeing a buddy of yours, or maybe actually not really buddy of yours, but maybe, maybe it does matter, maybe it doesn't matter, I'm not quite sure about it. So you're seeing another person, right? You're seeing another person that is just in the middle of a bunch of predators. And just because you are well, not really just because, but you are just the leader of a tribe, a tribe consisting of 100 different people, 100 people that you are able to just lead, basically, and tell what to do and all those things. And you then decide to help this one person, this one person that is just attacked by all these predators and whatnot. You're deciding to do so because you know that you're gonna feel good just because of it. It might be a reason. I don't know, like, this is just my assumption. It's just what I'm thinking about. It's just what I have been thinking about as well. And you're only doing it because it's gonna make you feel good. And this making you feel good then is kind of the reason why we survived, basically. Just because of those human connections. And maybe on the other hand, by being nice and having those human connections, we were able to be part of a tribe, which is then in the end letting us be able to, or was letting us some sort of, I don't fucking know, English, sentences, grammatics, whatever. And then in the end, you have been able to just survive just because of those human connections, just because of those human connections that led you to be part of another tribe. So yeah, be kind. And not only because of your reputation, not only because you kind of feel like, well, it's just because a good thing for you. It's not necessarily. It is a good thing for you, of course, 100%. Like, it's going to be something good for you, also because it's going to be something good for the other people around you. You're going to be a nice person. People are going to be happy around you. People are going to like to be around you just because you are a good person. You are a nice person. You are a generous person. You are nice. And all those things. Like, it does just make sense. It really does just make sense that people like other people more that are nicer. Unless you are a mean person, then you're probably going to like mean people a little bit more, because people like us do things like this, or maybe people like us like people like this, maybe as well. But let's actually go through a bunch of Reddit questions. Let's have a look at them. And just let's see if there's something really interesting for us, if there's something that we can learn something from, because I kind of have a feeling that, and I'm having a message of thank you or of the advice. You're welcome. It's always nice. Like, it was always nice to just be on Reddit and just answer a few questions. And it's probably taking me like, I don't know, a few minutes, but it just means such a lot for some people. It means such a lot for the person that I'm just answering the question of. Like, it is insane. For me, it's like a few minutes, maybe even a few seconds. It heavily depends on the question that was asked. But still, it means a lot for this person. Like, it is a really small step for me, but it is a fucking huge step, potentially, for the person that I might be helping with whatever I'm talking about. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself, redefine what it means to be successful, and see what unfolds. It is a really good spark for talking about something, which is maybe gonna even last for like the rest of the whole episode. But if you think about success as financial success, of course you're gonna go for money. But success can be something completely different. Success can also be like having healthy children, being healthy yourself, having like, I don't know, a good body, being in good shape and all those things. This could also just mean success for you. Like define success for you and see what successful really is for you. It might not really be about the money, you know? And even if it is about the money, is it then really about the money, or is it about just other people kind of admiring you and the work that you're doing, which might be just a reason for then having the money, which is actually leading back to finding the root cause of why you're thinking a certain way, why you need something in a certain way, and all those different kind of things. Like, it is important to think about the main reason or the root cause for why things are, or why, just the root cause why you're doing something, why something is happening, why you're feeling a certain way, and all those things. Like, it's truly important. And I'm seeing that it often leads to really good answers to questions and our problems, to just think about that. Bam. I wanted to give up alcohol for December and my monkey brain freaked out. So I'm starting with just 1 week. Yeah, that's the monkey brain or the lizard brain, or as just kind of the brain that is like really old and we can't really somehow consciously do something with it. Just because it is subconscious, just because it is doing something and whatnot. Like alcohol is definitely like a habit. You know, it's a really fucked up habit as smoking, as just, I don't know, masturbating as well is. You know, it's also just a habit. It's also the habit of eating something at specific times of the specific day and all those things. And we don't destroy habits, but we exchange habits, which means that you're probably gonna just have another habit replacing this habit. You know, the habit of alcohol replaced, or consuming alcohol actually, replaced by another habit of, for example, drawing or painting or something else. Moonwalker motivation. I know the sky is not the limit because there are footprints on the moon, and I made some of them. So don't allow anyone to denigrate, whatever it actually means, or inhibit your lofty aspirations. Your dream can take you might higher and much farther than anyone ever thought possible. There is a lot of reasons for believing in this, because the human mind is really not kind of, it's been thought about, it really is, but it's not really, like, not everything is discovered in the human brain, you know, not everything makes sense to us at this point in time. There's a lot of things that we don't know, as it is just the case for quite a lot of things in just science, like whether it is about biology, whether it is about just other species, not really about human being. There's just a lot of things that we don't know, and there's just a lot of things that we need to know maybe. To feel affection for people even when they make mistakes is uniquely human. You can do it if you simply recognize that they are human too, that they act out of ignorance against their will, and that you'll both be dead before long. And above all, that they haven't really hurt you, which is from the Stoicism subreddit, and I really enjoy it because it just shows you another perspective. It shows you another perspective of just thinking about people and maybe even feeling about people that might have done something that's really not that nice. Maybe somebody hurt you. Maybe somebody said something that's not really nice, but by remembering that these are also humans, that these people that hurt you, they are also human beings. And this is like a way to understand them. It is a way to also emphasize with them and just see that they might be feeling in a certain way. And it might lead you also to think about like what is happening in their life. Because a lot of things are happening in your life, you know, and everyone has their own life. And there's probably going on a lot of things in somebody else's life. Maybe something good, maybe something bad, maybe something good, which leads to a lot of happiness and a lot of kindness and a lot of generosity, and maybe even something bad, which is going to lead to a lot of negativity, a lot of just feeling bad and all those things. So please just try to understand other human beings by gaining perspective, by using your empathy, because it is something that we all can use. It is something we all can just think about. It is maybe about stopping yourself and stopping your thoughts and stopping your thinking, and then just like maybe stopping your saying or stopping your body of saying something or from saying something, but take back or step back a little tiny bit and ask yourself whether what you're going to say is going to be something that's gonna make the situation even worse, or maybe better, or if it is something that's like neutral. Because I believe that when we're stepping back, most often we can see that the thing that we might be thinking and or the thing that we might even be saying at this certain time is maybe, or that we're willing to say, is not really going to make anything better, but is maybe even going to make everything worse and everything bad. And it then shouldn't be intentionally, no matter what the other person did. Like, I can understand that, like, sometimes other people hurt you and then you feel like hurting them as well. But I really don't believe in revenge. I don't believe in it as it being something that really makes things better. In the end, it just makes everything worse because it is what it is. So really try to emphasize with the people, really try to understand other people by maybe even understanding yourself, by maybe just translating their feelings or their ways of acting into your life, because you're probably mean sometimes as well. So why are you mean sometimes, which might be one of the reasons why this person is also mean. Maybe there's going to be completely different just reason for why the person is mean, but by trying to maybe explain it to yourself, you're able to understand this person at least in some way. Maybe it's not going to be the right way, but it's just not going to let you judge this person. It's letting you to understanding this person and thinking about it as well. But yeah, this is what I'm willing to share. This is what I'm wanting you to do, actually. Just think about the other people a little bit more than you're doing at this point in time. Like, a lot of people are just thinking and talking and whatever about themselves. Like, I can understand it. Like, it is what human beings are doing. But I don't really suggest you to do so. It's like, nah, do it in a different way. Do it in an empathetical way. Do it in a generous way. Do it in a kind way. But yeah, with that being said, I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy. 3 other questions are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? And these 3 questions are hopefully going to show you a purpose and maybe even a business idea. Because a lot of companies started out with solving something that really pissed them on in the first place, or pissed them off in the first place. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time. I at least hope. So please consider subscribing to the podcast and maybe to the YouTube channel as well, or just vice versa or whatever. And I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Bye. Or something. I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Unless it is about like motivation and or feeling better just because you're consuming my content. Like, I would really appreciate that, but I do not want anyone to feel bad, I guess. Therefore, like, yeah, I'm going to see you the next time anyway. I see you.